Dale Earnhardt Jr. getting the helmet on. His harness is in place. He's getting ready to qualify now. Mark Truex Jr. taking a snap with a fan, and now the track is open for qualifying. And we were curious about Jr. because in practice, he missed a shift. The transmission hung in gear, and when he shifted from third to fourth, it went to second. We call that the money shift. And he tweeted later the engine went to 12,600 RPM, which is 3,000 more than it's designed to. So they've changed the engine and the transmission in that car.
Yeah, and there's a situation now, you got one less set of tires, and you know, we've seen a couple of times this year where guys like that, Jimmy Johnson comes to mind, and we watch him, they didn't even make a qualifying attempt. But I think Junior's going to go out, maybe just be sure that engine's okay in this session.
Yeah, let's just clarify, by changing that engine, that means that you have to start at the back. You know, once you change your race engine that you came with, go to a backup engine, that automatically sends you to the back. But NASCAR would like to see them go out and at least attempt a qualifying run, so they're going to do that.
So two things we haven't seen much. Number one, every car was on the line ready to qualify when this session opened. Everyone made it through inspection. And two, a number of the hot dogs out on track right away.
Yeah, Jimmy Johnson, you saw he took off right away. He wanted a clean racetrack. Maybe he wanted this cloud that's above, cooling the track temp a little bit, and wanted to get out there and make this lap. But look at traffic he's coming up on as he goes into the tunnel turn. Some cars that he's coming up on, I don't know if they will affect him. They're pretty far out there.
I wish there was a car just in front of me. It was just barely catching him when I come across the line. That might be a little help right there.
You know, guys, he was one of the few drivers to stay in qualifying for him that entire practice. He, Martin Truex Jr., Kyle Busch. I think the reason there's only a 1 hour practice, actually 55 minutes tomorrow, one of them, to get ready to race. So a lot of teams in race trim earlier.
Yeah, the other thing, Larry, is I think this car was ready to go. I think they knew they had a good race car. They wanted to go out and get them a good lap.
51.655.
And that's a good bit faster than what we saw. Just about a tenth, I think, faster. Is that right? From what we saw Kyle Busch and Kyle Larson, I think they were 51.7.
Actually, 50.75.
Oh, they were 50. Yeah, so yeah, you're right. They actually lost some time.
Jimmy practiced at a 51.34.
Oh, so right about what he practiced. And Boyer goes a little bit faster than Jimmy, about 3/10.
And Boyer is a tenth faster than he practiced.
And Kansas going about a tenth and a half faster than Boyer.
51.22, yes.
But we just have to remember, we're going to go 3 sessions here, so you don't want to burn them down in this one. You just want to go to the next round.
Casey Kane third.
You just want to go to the next round, but you don't want to have to sweat it at the end of round one whether you're going to make it. And this is one of those tracks, because of this tire that Goodyear brings, I've seen cars go back out a second time and pick up a decent amount. So you need to have a really safe number.
Larry, let me ask you, Dale Earnhardt Jr. right now is 5th on the board. We know he's not qualifying for starting position because of the engine change, but will his qualifying position give him that pit selection?
Yeah, I mean, pit selection's huge everywhere we go. I just don't think it's that much of a priority here because pit road is so wide, the pit boxes. I would not have run that fast of a lap. I would have run a conservative lap, made sure I didn't advance the next round, and be on fresher tires to start this race Sunday.
208 miles an hour into turn 1, Kevin Harvick.
And that's with a pretty major tailwind. That wind's picked up about 10 miles per hour from that first practice earlier today, at least when you get into the gusts. So that may have been a little bit conservative. We heard Kevin Harvick worrying about overdriving turn 1. They might be able to get in there a little bit harder and deeper than that. We'll see now that they've made a lap.
Yeah, Mike, going down this long front straightaway, all you think about is how fast you're going.
And you have lots of time to think about it, right?
And how am I going to whoa this thing up?
But I will say, Harvick's putting together one heck of a lap here. Going to be quite a bit faster than who's at the top of the board, Matt Kenseth.
Paul Menard third, and Harvick to the top, 50.737.
And that's what we saw as the fastest lap out of Kyle Larson earlier in practice today.
Eric Jones second. 51.
He didn't hold back, DW. Talking about Kevin Harvick.
No, but you know, funny thing about it, I think Harvick, I think this is one of the tracks he's never won.
Ryan Newman to second.
Yeah, I think it, surprisingly, Been a runner-up a couple of times, but never won here.
You know, but one of the things that he's done so well this year, I know he hasn't gone to victory lane yet this year, but he's won, what, 3 poles? 2 or 3 poles this year. So when it comes to qualifying, he's been the guy to beat several times.
Austin Dillon on the clock. And Michael McDowell.
He certainly carried some speed into turn 1. We saw Michael McDowell going to the green into turn 1. I talked about Harvick probably being a little conservative into turn 1, and that turn 1 by Michael McDowell kind of shows that.
Yeah, Mike said that it would sail you down the front straightaway. You just don't want to sail out of here. Because I'll tell you, there's a strong wind down that front straightaway.
Truex was also faster than Harvick through turn 1. And then went from green to red. Martin Truex from New Jersey, of course, the Eastern Motorsports Press Association Driver of the Year. He was honored at their banquet back in January. Dillon to 5th. McDowell 6th.
Martin got his first win here driving for Furniture Road. Back in June of 15.
Truex will be 3rd.
Right in front of his teammate, Aaron Jones, who made a nice run. We didn't talk much about him in practice, but Truex and Aaron Jones, 3rd, 4th.
Here's the great story of the day. Bubba Wallace making his debut.
Darrell Wallace Jr. making his first career start. He will be in the 43 until Eric Almirola is well enough to return. Jamie.
And because this is his first time qualifying a Cup car and he just got out of his Xfinity car, Drew Blickensterfer, his crew chief, told me there's some things he's reminding him of. The track bar adjuster on board, he doesn't normally have that. He said use it if you need it. Switches he reminded him about, and of course braking and shifting points that are different for these cars.
I just think that he's taking a great approach to this whole thing. So sport through practice, and we'll see how qualifying goes. Don't overdo it.
I was going to say, I think he just got his first lesson in overdoing it. He carried that number 43 car down into turn 1, overshot it just slightly.
Well, we know he has the overdo it gene in him because we've seen him do it. But
aggressiveness is not at all anything you have to worry about with him.
He said he spent a lot of time at Ford on their simulator, trying to learn the nuances of running Pocono in a Cup car. Ryan Blaney 4th. At a 51.02, Daniel Suarez 16th, Ray Galding 19th, and Wallace 6th fastest. Nice run.
That's great. I think that's
a heck of a run, boys.
That's fantastic. That would get into round 2.
I think so. But Jeff, these guys talk about the simulator, and I know you've been in the Chevrolet one a couple, 3 times. What do you learn? What do you take away from one of those things when you've been in it, and what do you bring to the track?
Well, it's amazing how realistic it is. I actually made laps here at Pocono in the simulator, and the braking points, the way the car reacts, the adjustments the team can make, it's as if you're here for a practice session.
See what we got here.
Larson.
Wow. He really picked up.
50.38. Kyle Busch, a 54 for 2nd.
Larson.
Hamlin, a 51.22 for 10th.
Pocono was good. He was his best I've seen him practice in a while. Got 2 poles and 1 win here.
He's going to be top 5. 4th for Logano, 50.79.
Boy, it's shaping up to look a lot like our practice ended earlier.
Kurt Busch 5th.
Yep.
Stenhouse 21st. Chase Elliott 16th.
I think the only one really that hasn't backed up what they ran in practice or beat in our top 4 or 5 is Matt Kenseth down in 11th.
Allmendinger 13th. That knocks out Suarez. Puts Matt DiBenedetto on the hot seat.
Oh, you see the 2. Keselowski get a little bit loose right in the middle, 1 and 2. That's not the way you want to start your lap. Now he knows what just happened. He knows he's got to make up some time. He's really got to hit this tunnel turn. Drive in here, turn in late, back to the gas hard, out up to the wall. Now he's got to think about how hard does he want to drive into turn 3. Another turn in late during qualifying, get right down to that yellow line. Up to 3rd, hard back to the gas.
And what the other thing he knows, Jeff, is he knows he gets another shot at this. So if he gets a decent lap, he can go out and correct what he did wrong.
Danica Patrick 19th, and
got a
5th for Keselowski.
Wow, with that mistake down in 1 and 2, if he tweaks and fixes that, he'll definitely have a shot at the pole.
That's what I love about this qualifying. I mean, you know, I've said this every week, and I'll never forget it. I always said, if I could just go do that one more time, well, now you can go do it one more time.
McMurray 10th. That knocks out Trevor Bayne and Stenhouse. So Earnhardt is on the hot seat now, 24th. Dale Jr. talking about his run.
I think the lap was too bad. It stopped. Yeah. I think I could have ran faster if I'd more comfortable. And directionally, that's definitely going to be better for us. So we'll get tuning on it.
Sounds to me like they may have used that a little bit of a test session. They tried something different than they had in the car as a setup, and he liked what he felt, so that gave him some good direction to work on for tomorrow's practice.
And he ran a much quicker lap, I think, than he intended to. So even though he's on the hot seat right now, still, that's a 51.77.
And here's Brad Keselowski after his run.
I don't know what to do here. That was terrible. That was terrible. But you tell me what to do differently. I don't know. I can't do this.
Who was that? It didn't sound like Keselowski.
That didn't sound like Keselowski at all.
That's his spotter, Joey Meyer, talking to him.
Okay, so yeah, maybe we were talking about traffic and when to get him in and out of traffic. Not really sure.
Yeah, they're not on the same page. That's one thing for sure.
But he's 5th on the board. I wouldn't worry too much about it.
Chris Buescher 26th. Here's Jeffrey Earnhardt 36th. So 24th is Earnhardt. Ahead of Bayne, Buescher, Stenhouse, DiBenedetto, and Suarez.
How about this kid? I mean, good grief. Bubba Wallace is sitting there in the 12th spot. That's pretty amazing for a guy that ain't been in one of these cars.
First time in a Cup car, first rookie stripe ever on the 43 since Christian Fittipaldi about 11 years ago.
But I just like, I really have watched him a lot, and we've been in his car here looking at him a lot. He seems so poised, under control. He's not excited. You saw him in the garage walk around. He's like, hey, don't worry, I got this.
Wow, he's going to take his steering wheel off and feel like they're good for.
Yeah. He's 12th. He's ready for round 2. There's the King.
And there's only
and Dale Inman.
Only 8 minutes left. But and I've seen a lot of cars go out and pick up. But I do believe he's safe.
Yeah, he's gosh, I know. I'm pretty sure he's safe. 12th. I think it was 10 guys that got.
And just remember, guys, you would need to leave pit road to start a lap somewhere around the 1 minute mark. That's to get that lap started. All you have to do is start.
Yeah, no, I think Larry, most of these guys are weighing out another lap on my tires. Really, it's almost like 2 because he has a big old racetrack, get around here to get up to speed.
Look at the guy on the bubble. He has no intentions of making another lap. He got his 1 lap in, and that's what he'll start the race on as far as tires from the rear of the field. Talking about Dale Earnhardt Jr. in the 88.
And it's just like last week, when there's one less set of tires. I mean, we saw people last week that were getting a little worried about running out of tires.
Here's Jamie.
I don't think Bubba has stopped smiling all day long, having a good time, and that was your goal today. But anything you could do differently? Is there anything left out there for this next round?
Yeah, my first time qualifying one of these things, and I messed up a lot. I really missed the bottom over in 1. Got really tight off of 3 over here, and everybody knows I struggle through the tunnel turn. So I didn't know where we'd end up. He just says, "Good lap. We'll talk to you when you get in." I'm like, "Where the hell's that at?" So it's a good day. I mean, I'm proud of our speed, proud of everybody on this. Smithfield Fusion. It's fun. I'm pumped up. This is really cool experience for me. Very humbling experience, and pretty damn cool.
He's having fun, and he's doing a great job handling it all, guys.
Boy, is he ever. Now, Earnhardt is 24th. That's interesting since he doesn't plan to run the second round. Jimmy Johnson is 23rd, 2 spots away from being bumped. What's their plan?
From where we sit, how much time do you think you need? Man, you better give it a minute. I mean, depending on if you want to coast around, and then start normal or not. I think in that scenario, we would just go straight out there right away,
That's Earl Barban and Chad Knaus.
Yeah,
and here comes Ty Dillon.
Yeah, Ty Dillon's already going to make it interesting if he completes the lap where he's at, already over a 10th up.
That's the most difficult part of the track in front of him.
And he's only gaining, so I think there's a pretty good chance that Jimmy Johnson is going to have to make another round, or make another run here. But basically, Earl, one of his jobs, besides spotting, getting Jimmy out there in a clean spot, is to measure the amount of time it takes to leave pit road and come and cross the line to start that final lap, if you need to, which is about a minute, he said.
Oh, Ty Dillon is in, but only by 11/100ths of a second. He bounces Dale Earnhardt Jr., but now Dillon is on the bubble. Matt?
Mike, a few up from Jimmy Johnson in the 19th position is Chase Elliott. We talked a lot about the different challenges of turning in a good lap here. Chase felt like that he had an issue in turn one. It wasn't over driving it. He had a hiccup shifting. Took the entire blame, said he just shifted at the wrong time, and it cost him big.
Matt, was that driver or mechanical, given what happened to Dale Jr. earlier?
He said it was all on him. Driver.
All right.
Yeah,
I think Dale Jr. said the same thing, though. I think he said it's all on me.
Yeah, there's a timing. There's timing on the upshifts. It's how you roll out of the throttle, and because you have to lift in order to shift, even though you don't need the clutch. You still have to lift to do the upshifts and the downshifts. On the downshifts, it's all about the timing of matching the RPMs versus where you turn in. And as we've seen riding on board some of these drivers, there's different places where you can choose to do that downshift. You can do it early or do it late.
Driver 88 has left the building.
And you know what he said? Mission accomplished. He did what he wanted to do.
Guys, you know what? Across the board, Hendrick Motorsports right now, 19th, 22nd, 23rd, and 25th.
Green light on Trevor Bayne. Trying to put his Roush Fenway Ford into the field, into the second round, carrying the colors and paint scheme that Ford is going to wear at Le Mans. They just completed the test. They're ready to race.
I was just going to go back to what Larry was talking about, and I definitely love to talk about Le Mans some more. But if you think back a year ago, who was battling for this win late in this race was two Hendrick drivers in Dale Earnhardt Jr. and Chase Elliott. They didn't get the win because Kurt Busch snuck by him and took them 3 wide. But they've got some work to do. That is not at all where they expected them to be. And Bayne goes to 15.
You know what I noticed? It's not the engine. Because if it was, the 42 wouldn't be running very well.
Well,
and the 1. So the 42 and 1 are both in the top 10. Those are Hendrick engines. So I don't think you could say the engines don't have the power.
No, it's not the power. And, you know, I think that so many of the cars are across the board in the manufacturers. The amount of difference in horsepower has been tightened up so much by the rules over the years. But you still always focus on more and more power. No, I think it's definitely, it's handling, it's aerodynamics. That's where the speed's at about everywhere we go.
Every time I ask the crew chief what's wrong with his car, the first thing out of his mouth is aero. We just don't have the aero right. It's not the springs and shocks, it's always aero.
David Reagan and Cole Whitt on track trying to break into the top 24. Jimmy Johnson on the bubble. Stenhouse is coming out, so is Suarez, and now Johnson rolls.
Yeah, Johnson probably ought to make a lap because there's some pretty good cars here. Suarez has got a car that's capable of knocking him out. So does Stenhouse. So I think he needs to probably roll another lap.
When he went really early trying to catch that cloud, if I had to guess, plus he's one of the first cars to leave pit road, I think he learned a lot about, I think he had to gap himself because of some traffic, so he had to go a little bit slower to the tunnel turn. He should start gaining the momentum that he needs to get, put in a good lap here now.
Minute 40 left. This first round of knockout qualifying. Chris Buescher just rolled, trying to bump back in. Paul Menard also out there. Now he's 3 away from being bumped. He's coming to the end of pit lane.
I just don't know if another lap or 2 on your tires, these tires at this track are going to hurt you that much. I just don't think it's that big of a deficit.
This is a tough place to pass on. I mean, you can come from the back, but usually it's through pit strategy.
Yeah, Stenhouse is coming. He might make it.
Well, I think we've been surprised at the lack of speed we've seen in Ricky Stenhouse, the 17 car today. We've seen them qualify extremely well.
They're all green light, all 3 of them. Now Johnson is in. The other 2 are trying to bump in. Stenhouse will come to the line first.
Saw Jimmy a little bit loose and wide off the tunnel turn.
He did it. 18th for Stenhouse. Johnson's out. Casey Kane on the bubble.
This is the lap you would like. like to have run in the first go-round, not having to go back out.
Suarez to 18. Casey Kane is out. Danica to the bubble. 13 for Jimmy Johnson. Danica's out. Menard goes on the bubble.
That's what I love about having these knockout rounds, especially round one. This is a track where you can go back out and find speed. You start knocking cars out that didn't expect it to happen.
Well, what helps you is you come back in and you say I was loose. They make a little air pressure adjustment, gets the car where you can drive it faster, tack harder, get a better lap.
Stenhouse and Suarez tied. Stenhouse ahead on points. The session ends now. So everybody's good to come back and try to bump back in. Paul Menard's 51.38 is the bubble right now.
And see, Menard's got to push hard because he's got Danica Patrick behind him who's putting up together a really good lap. Actually, she's a little bit ahead of him. He's a little bit behind her. He's going into 3. She's coming off of 3. But she's in 25th. Can bump her way in, and she could bump Menard out. He's putting together. He's putting a heck of a lap together now. He's going to find his way in there.
Kane's slower. Menard is in.
Look at Menard all the way out.
6.
Chase Elliott knocked out.
Knocks Chase Elliott out. Actually, Menard knocked Patrick out, and Patrick knocked Elliott out right at the end.
Elliott 25th, Kane 26th.
Well, that's
Junior 28th.
That's knockout qualifying for you by 6 1/1000ths of a second. Patrick advances. Kyle Larson fastest in round 1.